Good morning and welcome back to our little piece of paradise smack dab in the middle of the Canadian forest.
In 2021, we brought you along every Sunday as we built our dream off-grid home here, and we're just getting started.
Before we begin the interior of the dome, from the kitchen, the floors, and all the other exciting projects we have planned, we figured we'd take a look back on 2021 and how we got here to where we are today with no experience.
And most importantly, why we chose to live alone in the woods in a dome in the first place.
But it's getting a little cold outside, so let's head in and warm up by the fire.
Let's go. We're Tyler and Todd, and in 2020, we parked our RV in the middle of the Canadian forest to live out our dream of building an off-grid home for ourselves. Hundreds of projects and thousands of small steps later, our journey to build a simple life has led us to where we are today. Hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up, which helps us get introduced to more like-minded people just like you. Come along. Not gonna lie, it feels pretty surreal to finally be sitting here in our home with a roof over our heads. It's been a long last year. It's hard to believe that exactly a year ago we were snowshoeing in this area, and now it's our home.
We fell in love with it. It was just a beautiful area, and we knew we wanted to do something with it. And we had originally kind of set out from living in the RV with such low ceilings and a cramped space and having to shovel the roof every time it snowed and every hour filling that little stove through the night. We knew we wanted something with high ceilings, so we were looking at A-frames and just all kinds of different structures until we eventually found geodesic domes. And once we saw these, we just couldn't get them out of our heads.
Yeah, as soon as we discovered them, it was just like we were hooked. We didn't need to see anything else. And a big reason and motivator from that was the cost of building supplies. Like everything just went through the roof with COVID. So we found this alternative living solution and we kind of went all in, but we had a lot of problems to solve. The three main ones were we didn't have a water supply, we didn't have electricity, and we had no ability to grow our own food. Three very important things when you're living off-grid. So before we could even do anything with the geodesic dome, we had to at least solve some of those problems.
So the first one that we took on was the food. Luckily, in 2020, we had built the raised garden beds, which we used hugelkultur, and they were performing well and producing a lot of food, but it wasn't enough. So we got to work in the spring of expanding the growing garden.
We had to build fencing all around and to hopefully keep out the deer and the raccoon and all the critters.
But then we also made them so that we can grow our vining plants up them. So we had our beans growing on it, and it just turned out really nice. I feel like it really finished that space off.
What we decided to do was to plant the vegetables that were the most expensive to purchase where we are in Nova Scotia. So we really tried to focus on peppers, tomato. We did a lot of cherry tomatoes. We did
spicy peppers.
Yeah, like habanero.
The yield was so massive, and so we tried our hands at preserving the food for the first time, which was fun. We did a couple different variations of preserving onions. We did some dill carrots,
basically
salsa.
Anything that you could preserve, we attempted to do. And we're really grateful that we did that because we're still benefiting from all of the gifts that the land gave us last summer.
Mm-hmm.
And not only
except for the pickles. The pickles are almost gone.
Yeah, we made some fire and ice pickles.
Oh, they are so good.
The best pickles that I've ever had, hands down.
Having all this food was so amazing, but we realized that we didn't really have a sustainable way of watering it. Prior to this, we were going to a spring maybe 5-10 minutes down the road with our 5-gallon jugs and filling those up every couple days, which it just wasn't sustainable.
Especially when we're trying to grow literally hundreds of pounds of food. We would be going to the spring twice a day. So we really needed to come up with a water solution that we would just never run out. We drilled down 260 feet into the earth, and luckily for us, we did hit a very good source of water. We're at 4.5 gallons per minute, which is an infinite supply. We will never run out because we would never use as much as what we're producing per minute. Once we actually had the well drilled, we really needed to come up with a solution of, okay, it's great, there's water 260 feet deep, but how do we actually get it out? So I did a lot of research and I figured out a way to modify a 12-volt pump in order to get the water out using just the power of the sun. A lot of people said that it was impossible to do, and we did it.
Oh, we got water? We proved them all wrong.
We proved them wrong.
If you want us to do something, tell us it's impossible because we'll prove you wrong.
The one tricky thing, though, about that was we didn't have enough energy to consistently have water whenever we needed it. So what we had to do was build a water tower. So on really sunny days, we could pump all of the water out using the sun, fill up the water tower.
It's working.
How do you feel?
I feel good.
And then anytime we needed water for watering our vegetables and all that kind of stuff, we had a supply.
It's just a really basic principle. It's the gravity from the weight of the water pushes it down through the hose, and it actually gives a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And works really, really well.
Yeah, we had no issues.
No pun intended.
No issues whatsoever. But then we were like, okay, now we finally have a water supply, so maybe we can retire the baby wipe showers.
We got no running water here, and we're stuck on the land for 14 days, so things are great.
And
the Rubbermaid tote in the living room. I'm getting foaming hand soap in my eyes.
Yeah, it was time to have a little bit of an upgrade, so we built one of our favorite projects that we've done here on the land, the most beautiful outdoor shower we could have ever dreamed of.
We just use some fence boards that we got from our local hardware store, 6 feet long, and we just put those up to create a wall so that from the main house you won't be able to see someone's bits and bobs while they're showering. And then we have an instant hot water heater that's designed to go outside, and it works so well.
Yeah, all we did was put a crusher dust base down along with Riverstone on top. We built a little bit of a platform, and then suddenly we had a shower. We realized pretty quickly that we were getting a lot of buildup and scale on the shower, and we did some research and we realized that our infinite water supply actually required some treatment in order to use. Looking back, we probably should have tested the water right away.
We were just too excited.
That set us off on the journey of figuring out a way to properly treat our water. We had some companies come out and the quotes ranged from $7,000 to $8,000. That was not an option for us, so we had to come up with another solution.
And Tyler did such a good job of figuring that out. You spent a lot of time at University of YouTube and figured out how to create a filter system. And ever since then, we've never had any build-up issues. We've been able to get good suds with our soap. It's nice.
Yeah, it was a lot of work to obviously figure all of that stuff out, but I think once I had that experience, it built a lot of confidence that would be important later down the road of this land project. Like, we've taken on a lot of things that previously I would have said we weren't capable of, but I think it's important to realize anything that you think is impossible, if you just give yourself a little bit of patience, some time, watch some YouTube videos, you can really figure out anything. And I really feel comfortable taking on any project now.
So on the flip side of having the well and drinking water, we had to figure out a way to deal with our wastewater. So in Nova Scotia, they don't recognize gray water. That meant that we had to look at actual septic systems. So we went with a really cool system that doesn't require any power. It's all gravity fed. And the way it works is our effluent from the house and buildings go into the tank where it's held. Once that fills, it'll go overflowing into the filtering portion where it goes through hundreds of pounds of coconut fiber before it enters into our leaching field and re-enters the Earth's water table as clean water.
Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, we're going to take a quick moment and thank the sponsor of today's video, Athletic Greens.
If you've been following along in 2021, you know that Athletic Greens has been with us every step of the way, and that's because we truly love the product. It's how we start every single day. It's having an AG because it's amazing. It contains 75 vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced ingredients. It's promoting gut health. It's giving you energy. It's giving you all that good stuff that you need. Plus, on top of that, it's keto, paleo, and vegan friendly, which is a huge win for us.
And if all that wasn't enough, it actually tastes great. If you've ever had a green or a multivitamin before, they're normally really bitter and sort of chalky tasting. not athletic greens. It's so subtly sweet. It's sort of like bubblegum is the closest flavor I could, I guess, explain it as. It's just such an important staple in our day.
If you want to find out more about how athletic greens can fit into your health journey, make sure you use the link in our description box down below. Using that link, they're going to give you 5 free travel packs as well as a 1-year supply of the vitamin D drops.
But back to the video, we are going to be chatting about electricity.
Starting last year, we had a generator and a small amount of solar, and that's how we were getting by here at the land, which quickly we learned wasn't enough. So that kind of set us off on a journey of solar.
Turns out the engineering and the permit requirements for building an off-grid solar array in Nova Scotia, especially the size that we wanted to build, was a lot more daunting than we could have ever imagined. So we needed a quick fix for our energy supply. So what we decided to do was...
We had already burned through one generator.
Oh yeah, the generator saga.
We tried to repair it. Turns out we're better at like building things than fixing generators.
Todd! Todd! No, you can finish it yourself. So what we decided to do was invest in 1,000 watts of solar on the roof of the RV, which was such a game changer. It was a really great temporary fix and allowed us some breathing room to continue with the engineering, leveling the whole solar field area, putting in the helical piles. And the best part about it was we know that travel is always going to be a part of our life. And when we hit the road again and we, go camping off-grid somewhere, we're going to have all the power requirements that we need. So it really was a sort of a win-win. And the main solar project continues to this day. We actually just finished doing work on that. So we're really excited to update you in a few weeks on what's happening with that. So by the time we finally had our electricity and our water sorted, it was midsummer. And we'd realized that we hadn't really done anything for basically a year except work. So we decided to explore our own backyard and really take some downtime. We did a lot of kayaking and hiking. It was really nice.
But then it was back to work because we wanted a space that we could relax. That sort of set off the seating area by the pond as well as the courtyard because...
Actually, I just want to preface this by saying Todd sold this project to me as it would be about a day to do.
I also sold the land to you that it would only be a year.
Yeah, that's true. The most difficult part of that project by far was that stupid rock in the middle of the courtyard. It was days of just hammering and hammering that. As soon as we saw that area start to take shape, once we put garden beds in and hundreds of loads of rock by hand, I should say.
Yeah.
That was a lot of work. So once all of that took place though, it was very clear that this would be the perfect outdoor movie theater. And
it's epic.
It's epic. Like every summer night was spent out there with just having barbecues and friends and family over. It was one of the best projects we've done here. As much fun as it was relaxing for a few weeks in the summer, became very obvious that we needed to get our butts back in gear because winter was going to be here before we knew it. We didn't have a dome. We didn't have a foundation. We didn't have a road to get to the dome. We literally had nothing done. So we decided to rent a skid steer and an excavator and learn how to operate both of them to build a road. And that was beyond empowering. It was... When I look back, I think that moment, as well as a tractor, I totally forgot about that. Yeah. It just pushing ourselves to do things that we never thought we were capable of was, it built a lot of like personal self-confidence in my own life.
Plus, it was a lot of fun using those toys. The equipment. But it was really, really good. And I think it really pushed us over the edge. That was a turning point for us that we realized we can actually do this.
Yeah. And before we knew it, we suddenly had a road built. We had an area for where the dome was going to go. And then we realized, okay, so we need to get engineering involved to make sure we're building this correctly, the foundation, everything that goes along with that. So while we waited for all of the engineering to be finalized for the dome, we got to work cutting and splitting firewood, and then we built a 10 by 20 wood seasoning shed to go right next to where we were going to build the dome because we needed to have a wood supply, and it turns out wood needs to season. Who knew?
So that was a lot of work, but I'm glad we did it because it is like it's nice having our heat here, especially where we don't have a full electric connected to the dome yet. We wouldn't be able to stay in here without doing that.
It wouldn't have been possible, but let me tell you, lifting 8 cord of wood and stacking it it's truly backbreaking. It's an incredible amount of physical work, and we're glad that that is behind us.
Yeah. But while this was all going on, the engineering was taking longer than we thought. Plus, there was a bit of a shipping delay with getting the actual dome here from over in BC. So we got to work on the Gazebo project down at the dome. So we built a multi-use space outside that could be used as a living room. We can use it as an outdoor kitchen. It's a great place to have people over.
We laid a beautiful composite deck floor underneath crusher dust, and the space just came together unbelievably well.
Yeah.
And we still use it. Like in the evenings, we'll go out and we'll sit by the fire. It's just...
It's magical.
It's magic.
I keep saying everything's my favorite project.
I know. It's really hard, like truly to pick like a favorite project, because everything that we've done has been so methodical, and we've done it exactly the way that we've always dreamt that it would be. And it somehow turned out better. So like looking back at all of these memories, it's just, the land project, it's truly a dream.
The way I view everything that we're doing here is kind of like an expression of art. Mm-hmm. It's like our souls and our journeys, because you can see the different areas that we've developed, and I can still remember how we were feeling and what we were working through to make that work. It's a really cool place to say is ours. Once the gazebo was done, the timing actually worked out perfect because we were ready to install the foundation. So for the foundation of the dome, we've gone with 16 helical piles. They just screw into the ground, and then if we, for whatever reason, wanted to remove the structure, we can just unscrew them back out of the ground, so you're not disturbing the soil like if we were to do sonotubes.
And we learned our lesson with sonotubes. That was another reason why concrete was just out of the picture.
Sonotube coming in! Let go of the tube. You're gonna knock it over.
Okay. What the hell is this channel?
The front gate that we built in 2020 was so physically demanding that we decided we're never gonna do that.
I don't ever want to see a bag of concrete again in my life.
Never, not interested. The other reason that we went with helical piles over the sonotubes was because each pile is engineered specifically for a weight load. So building this structure on top of a foundation, we didn't want to ever roll down the hill. The dome is perched up like 30 feet in the air. So it had to be exact. So once we had the sonotubes in the ground, we realized we majorly effed up. This was the biggest mistake, hands down, that we made on the land. We were a bit naive and thought, having running water and electricity at the dome is not that big of a deal.
We were going to install a holding tank like you have in an RV underneath the deck and run a garden hose down and fill it when we needed it. And Tyler had a tree over there that he was going to throughout the day go out and have a pulley system to raise and lower these solar panels that he could catch the sun at different times of day.
Yeah, I was definitely naive and penny pinching a little bit. I didn't want to spend more money than we needed to, but it became very obvious that entire driveway that we just finished building for the dome had to rip up. So in the excavator we went and we dug up and trenched that whole area 4 feet deep. And let me tell you, that was the most physical, demanding project that we've done on the land.
We literally started work at 7 in the morning. We didn't finish until 10:30 at night. We went to bed and they were showing up the next day to start on the deck. That was the day I wanted to cry, light my hair on fire, and run away.
I really think I blocked that day out. That was incredibly hard work, but we got it done. We connected the dome all the way to the power station. It became very obvious we may as well just finish the conduit to run everywhere. So everything gets tied into this one central spot on the land and then gets distributed to wherever we need water and electricity. However, in order to prevent the water from freezing in the winter, we decided that doing closed cell spray foam insulation all along the walls made the most sense. When you're living off grid or you're living alternatively, whether it's in a van or on a sailboat, things are different and there are no how-to guides. You really have to figure it out as you go, which is stressful and nerve-wracking, but also incredibly empowering. And yeah, we learned a lot and we made a lot of mistakes doing the trench, but look where we are now. We figured it out.
Exactly. So. But from there, it was time to start building the deck that the dome was actually going to sit on, which was also a huge skill for us. We had never built a deck before in our lives.
Had no idea where to start,
let
what
alone
to do.
A 30-foot octagon in the middle of the woods. So.
Yeah. We made the decision to hire a couple local guys to teach us how to attach the deck to the foundation. And once we had it done, it only took a morning to build that whole perimeter. And then from there, Todd and I finished up the deck. We laid all of the deck boards. That was a really big moment because once we had the foundation as well as the deck attached to it, we could see the vision. And that just changed everything.
It really motivated us and got us moving on to getting the dome structure going, which was a huge feat. That was something that, again, I underestimated how big of a project it was to build a structure this size. So just to give perspective, we're in a 26-foot dome with 14-foot ceilings. It is a massive building.
Massive. The first few rows of the perimeter, it really was not difficult, but once we got up high, we realized, okay, the 10-foot ladder we bought is not going to work. So we had to get scaffolding, learn how to put that together.
And then we realized that we don't like heights.
Heights.
Never factored that in.
No. But we got the structure together.
Then we got to the liners. So for the interior liner, it's the first one that goes on. So it ties onto the frames. So it's kind of hanging on the inside.
So we got up on that scaffolding and we just held onto the bars and hoped that it worked out. And guess what? It did. It went up pretty easy. And then we were like, okay, the PVC exterior liner, that'll be nothing.
Yeah, they said use 4. People were like, we've gotten by with 2 this far. We don't need those extra hands. So
that was difficult.
So the liner is, I think it's a little over 300 pounds is the PVC liner. And it took forever. It took us a whole day and we could only get it just halfway over. We kept thinking that if we could just get over the top of the dome, gravity would pull the rest of it down. Well, it's not that way because gravity's working on the other side with the 280 pounds of material that's sitting there.
Gravity's tricky that way.
Yeah.
Building this dome was so much more difficult because of the location we chose.
We always do that to ourselves.
And I'm very, very glad that we did it, but building it on the side of a hill is a lot more consideration than building it in the middle of a field. Like it would have been easier. We could have used equipment to help us lift it over. Luckily for us, Todd's dad had the day off work, so he was able to come through and help us. So huge shout out again to Timmy. Obviously, finding people to help living as remotely as we do and in the middle of COVID is just very difficult. Todd's parents live 5 minutes away, so it was a huge help.
Can I get a camera? I told you so!
Nothing I love more than my father-in-law proving me wrong. So once we had the dome cover on, it was pretty smooth sailing after that. We made sure that we fastened everything to the foundation. So we had to use these J-bolt clips that we had to modify. We just sawed them off.
Once the dome was covered and it was weather tight, it was time to figure out some insulation for underneath the deck. We ended up going with spray foam, which worked out to be the best decision for us for a number of reasons. One, it gives us a really high R value because there's 5 inches of spray foam underneath us. It also acts as our vapor barrier, so we're no longer going to be at risk of getting that water coming up through from the ground. And third, it's animal and rodent retardant. Once we had our insulation done, we were able to finally install our wood stove, which was actually maybe one of the most emotional days of this whole project. And that's because we were finally in a place that we had a roof over our head, we were going to be warm, and it was just really grounding to see a dream that so many people, not only online, but in our personal life, kept telling us that we were crazy or never going to be able to see our dream through to fruition. And to finally be inside of it and get some heat going, it
was just the culmination of literally a year's dream and so much hard work. And it was also the holidays. So we were able to put up our Christmas tree and just appreciate and live in the beauty that we've worked so hard for. it was really emotional, and we got to spend some time off and just like enjoy our new home. But obviously, if you can see behind us, we didn't have too much of a break. We wanted to continue making progress on the dome, and we've accomplished a lot.
We've been
lot.
busy.
Very busy, and we're really looking forward to 2022. We're feeling so rested and reinvigorated, and we just can't wait to continue on the land. I said this earlier, but we are only just getting started. Everything that we have planned and everything to come is just...
It's exciting.
It's exciting.
I think the dome is kind of like a catalyst for the rest of the project because like this is done. What else can we accomplish? Like that's how I'm kind of waking up each day, and I just love it.
I really truly believe that we can do anything. And so can you. Like, if I'm telling you right now, if the two of us could figure out how to do all of this.
Like, we're a mess on the best of days, but we're still getting through all this.
So the next time you're having a little bit of self-doubt, do us a favor and pick yourself up, watch some YouTube videos of how to do something, and get a new skill. You can do it.
Yeah.
So.
But we're going to end it here because we've got more work to do, and we're so excited to keep bringing you along every Sunday as we continue with our dream here at the land.
See you next Sunday.